Chapter 1. The Necessity and Advantage of Assurance. Examine yourselves, whether ye be in the faith. Prove your own selves. 2 Corinthians chapter 13, verse 5. The church of Corinth was a garden planted by apostles, yet it was quickly filled with harmful weeds. The apostle Paul thus threatened the congregation with severe discipline if it failed to repent, ecclesiastical discipline being to the church what the sword is to the commonwealth. The Corinthians did not care for this strong reprimand and responded by questioning Paul's apostolic power and authority. Love for their lusts and for security in those lusts made the Corinthians question the divine right of Christ's institutions. The apostle proved his calling by citing the spiritual success and powerful effect that his words had had among the Corinthians. Instead of proving and examining him, Paul commanded them to try themselves. This very argument may still be used today by God's faithful ministers against many people who condemn their calling. The duty to examine yourselves. In Paul's words, there is a duty demanded. If this duty is neglected, the consequences may be grave. The duty is explained by two emphatic words, examine and prove yourselves. The former word generally means to experientially know something that is uncertain, unknown, or hidden. Knowledge gained by general arguments and abstract reasons cannot be called experiential knowledge. Therefore, in addition to this knowledge, examination is needed to determine whether an end is good or bad. In an ill sense, the word applies to the devil and his instruments, while in a good sense, it applies to God and, in the text, to ourselves. In addition, these words imply that men are strangers to themselves because much self-love blinds them to the truth. These words also imply that certain marks and signs indicate how a man may come to certainty about who he is, or this command would be in vain. The word prove also implies that severe and diligent self-examination is necessary to have a full experiential knowledge of what is within us. Romans chapter 5, verse 4. The word examine is used in regard to experiential knowledge. The object of examination is to see whether ye be in the faith. The apostle does not speak here of the doctrine of faith, but of the saving grace of faith that is evident in the question, know ye not that Christ is in you? The apostle says, ye in the faith, rather than faith in you, to show the great extent of faith which we, as its subjects, cannot fully embrace. Additionally, he uses contrary phrases such as in sin and in the flesh, rather than saying that sin and flesh are in us. Some also note that Paul says, enter thou into thy master's joy, rather than thy master's joy enter into thee. Though that seems fanciful, for the true meaning is, enter into the place of thy master's joy, as the term is used in Esther. Roman Catholic commentators elude this issue when asked by the Orthodox to prove that a man may be certain of true grace in himself. They say the apostle does not refer to the saving work of the Spirit here, but of miraculous works. They argue that they are apostles of the true Messiah because of the miracles wrought among them. They also cite Galatians chapter 3, verse 5, in which the apostle proves the true doctrine that Christ is among believers because of the miracles done in their midst. They sometimes also add Matthew chapter 11, verse 5, in which John's disciples ask Jesus whether he is the true Christ, and Jesus replies, the blind receive their sight, and the lame walk, implying that these wonderful works demonstrate that he is the Messiah. We grant this is part of what the apostle means in calling the Corinthians to examine themselves for an experiential proof of Paul's apostleship among them, yet that cannot be the entire meaning, because Christ is not said to dwell in us, according to the scriptural phrase, or to be in us merely by means of miraculous faith.